Fear is the killer of dreams, not failure, not rejection. Fear. I know this truth because I lived it. When I slept in my car at 23, broke and hopeless, fear was my constant companion. When I washed dishes for minimum wage, fear whispered I would never amount to more. But I discovered something that changed everything. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. One decision at a time, one action at a time, one victory at a time. Today, I'll show you exactly how to build unshakable confidence that transforms every area of your life. Not through cheap motivation that fades by morning, but through proven principles that have created success for millions. Look around you. The most successful people aren't necessarily the most talented. They're the most confident. They believe in themselves when evidence is lacking. They take action while others hesitate. They persist when others quit. This isn't opinion, it's fact. After 4 decades studying success, interviewing over 500 self-made millionaires, and training more than 5 million people, the pattern is clear. Confidence precedes competence, not the other way around. Most people have it backward. They think achievement comes first, then confidence follows. Wrong. You must act with confidence first, results follow. This reversal of conventional thinking is your first key to transformation. Right now, you might be thinking about, but Brian, I don't feel confident. Here's the secret. Nobody does at first. Confidence isn't a feeling, it's a decision, a choice you make regardless of circumstances. The Navy SEALs have a saying, act with confidence and the confidence will come. They understand action precedes emotion, not the other way around. When I started speaking professionally, my knees knocked, my voice cracked, I forgot my material, but I kept showing up. Each time I walked to the podium, I acted as if I belonged there. After 500 speeches I did, the pretending became reality. This is how confidence works. You don't wait to feel it. You act as if you already have it. Let me tell you about Michael, a mid-level manager who attended my seminar in Chicago. He approached me during the break, eyes downcast. I can't speak up in meetings, he said. My ideas die in my throat. I asked what he feared most. Looking stupid, he said. I gave him an assignment. In his next meeting, he had to speak up in the first 5 minutes, no matter what. He called me a month later. I did it, he said. My idea got shot down. I asked how he felt. Terrible at first, then strange. The world didn't end. 6 months later, he led the team. The confidence came after the action, not before. This is the immutable sequence. Action first, feelings follow. Fear exists for one reason, to be conquered, not avoided, not managed, conquered. The most damaging lie people tell themselves is that confidence comes from avoiding what they fear. The opposite is true. Confidence comes from walking directly into what scares you. When I started my business, I was terrified of rejection. So I made myself make 100 cold calls every day. The first 10 were agony. By call 20, the fear lessened. By call 50, I got into rhythm. By call 100, I felt invincible. Was it comfortable? No. Was it necessary? Absolutely. Your comfort zone expands or contracts based on your decisions. Fear is just a signpost saying, growth opportunity ahead. The core principle you must understand is this: confidence is built through small wins accumulated consistently over time, not through grand gestures or overnight transformations. Small victories create momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates bigger victories. This upward spiral is available to anyone willing to start small and stay consistent, but most people never start. They wait for confidence before taking action. That day never comes. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. The smallest action taken is worth more than the grandest intention. One push-up is better than a perfect workout plan never executed. One sales call is better than a flawless strategy never implemented. Now let me share something personal. When I was 30, I was broke, in debt, and living in a small apartment. I had no college education and no special advantages. But I made a decision that changed everything. I decided to take full responsibility for my life. Not partial responsibility, full responsibility. No more blaming circumstances, no more waiting for conditions to improve, no more excuses. I wrote down my goals, created a plan, and took action every day. Within 1 year, my income doubled. Within 3 years, I was financially independent. Not because I'm special, because principles work when applied consistently. The same principles that transform my life will transform yours, but you must apply them. The first step to building unshakable confidence is complete clarity about what you want. Vague goals produce vague results. Clear goals produce clear results. Take out a piece of paper right now and write down your 3 most important goals. Be specific, be clear. What exactly do you want to accomplish in the next 12 months? In your career, in your finances, in your health? The act of writing crystallizes your thinking. It moves you from wishing to committing. Most people never put pen to paper. They keep their goals floating in their heads, where they remain dreams rather than commitments. This one act, writing your goals, puts you ahead of 97% of the population. Now analyze your goals. Which one, if accomplished, would have the greatest positive impact on your life? Circle it. This becomes your major, definite purpose, the organizing principle for your time, energy, and resources. Clarity creates confidence. When you know exactly what you want, you eliminate confusion. Confusion breeds doubt. Doubt kills action. I've interviewed thousands of successful people across dozens of fields. They all share this trait: absolute clarity about their primary goal. They can tell you in one sentence what they're working toward. Can you? If not, you've identified your first confidence-building task. Define your target with such clarity that you could explain it to a child. The second step is to create a concrete plan. Break your goal into specific, measurable steps. What must you do daily, weekly, monthly to reach your target? Be detailed. Leave nothing to chance. When I decided to become a professional speaker, I created a plan. Study great speeches 2 hours daily. Practice delivery 1 hour daily. Reach out to 10 potential clients daily. Offer free speeches weekly to build experience. This wasn't glamorous, but it was specific. Each completed task built my confidence. Each small win proved I could do what I set out to do. Your plan doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be clear enough to follow and flexible enough to adjust as you learn. Lisa attended my seminar in Dallas. She wanted to start a consulting business, but felt paralyzed by self-doubt. "I'm not an expert," she said. I asked what small steps she could take that day. "I could create a simple website," she said, "then contact 3 potential clients tomorrow." She started that night. Within a week, she had her first client. Not because she suddenly became more qualified, but because action created momentum. Momentum created opportunities. Opportunities created confidence. The sequence is predictable. The only variable is whether you'll start. Lisa started. Will you? Your first step needn't be perfect. It simply needs to be taken. The third step is to face your fears directly. Make a list of everything you're afraid of regarding your goal. Be honest. If you fear public speaking, write it down. If you fear rejection, acknowledge it. If you fear failure, admit it. Then rank these fears from least frightening to most terrifying. Now start with the least frightening and deliberately expose yourself to it. If you fear speaking up in meetings, commit to making 1 comment in your next meeting. If you fear cold calling, make 1 call today. The key is progressive exposure. Start small, but start. Each fear you confront diminishes in power. What once terrified you becomes merely uncomfortable. What was uncomfortable becomes routine. I once feared speaking to groups. My hands would sweat, my mouth would dry, my mind would blank. I started with small groups. 5 people, then 10, then 20. Each time the fear lessened. Not disappeared, lessened. Now I've spoken to audiences of 20,000 without nervousness, not because I'm special, because I followed the principle of progressive exposure. The brain can't maintain fear of something you voluntarily expose yourself to repeatedly. It's neurologically impossible. Your fears persist because you avoid what triggers them. Stop avoiding, start confronting, 1 small exposure at a time. Record each victory, no matter how small. These victories become evidence you can succeed. The 4th step is to invest in your skills and knowledge. Confidence comes from knowing you can deliver results. This knowing comes from competence. Competence comes from consistent learning and practice. Identify the key skills required to achieve your goal. Then commit to developing those skills to the highest level. When I decided to become a professional speaker, I read every book on public speaking. I studied great speeches. I attended seminars. I practiced relentlessly. I recorded myself and analyzed my performance. Was this comfortable? No. Was it necessary? Absolutely. The more I learned, the more confident I became. Not because I felt different, but because I was different. I had transformed myself through deliberate practice. Commit today to becoming a lifelong learner. Read books in your field. Listen to audiobooks during your commute. Take courses. Attend seminars. Find mentors. The average millionaire reads 50 books per year. The average CEO reads 4 to 5 books per month. This isn't coincidence. Leaders are readers. Knowledge gives you an edge. An edge gives you confidence. Make learning a non-negotiable part of your daily routine. Even 30 minutes of focused study each day compounds dramatically over time. In 1 year, you'll have invested 180 hours in your personal development. This alone puts you ahead of 95% of your competition. The fifth step to building confidence is to surround yourself with the right people. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This isn't metaphorical, it's mathematical. Their attitudes, beliefs, and expectations become yours through a process psychologists call social contagion. If you're surrounded by negative, fearful people, you'll become negative and fearful. If you're surrounded by positive, confident achievers, you'll become more positive and confident. Take inventory of your 5 closest relationships. Do these people lift you up or pull you down? Do they encourage your dreams or pour cold water on them? This isn't about abandoning old friends. It's about consciously expanding your circle to include people who model what you aspire to become. When I was struggling financially, I joined a business group filled with successful entrepreneurs. I couldn't afford the membership. I paid anyway. Being around people operating at a higher level changed my thinking, my expectations, and ultimately my results. Who you associate with determines what you believe is possible for yourself. If no one in your immediate circle has achieved what you want to achieve, find communities, masterminds, or organizations where you can connect with people who have. Their success becomes evidence that yours is possible. Their thinking expands yours. Their standards raise yours. Choose your associations carefully. They shape your destiny more than you realize. The 6th step is maintaining unwavering persistence. Confidence isn't built through occasional bursts of effort. It's built through daily disciplines maintained over time. The most successful people aren't necessarily the most talented or intelligent. They're the most determined. They refuse to quit. When I published my first book, it was rejected by 23 publishers. The 24th said yes. That book has now sold over 1 million copies and been translated into 42 languages. Had I quit after the 23rd rejection, you wouldn't know my name. Persistence is the great separator. Anyone can start. Few will persist through difficulty, failure, and temporary defeat. Those who do stand apart. Develop a prosperity mentality even when surrounded by scarcity. This requires mental discipline. When I lived in my car, I visualized myself living in a beautiful home. When I washed dishes, I visualized myself addressing audiences of thousands, not as fantasy, but as a future reality I was working toward. Your current circumstances are the result of past thinking and decisions. Your future circumstances will be determined by your current thinking and decisions. Begin thinking from the end. See yourself having already achieved your goal. Feel the confidence that comes with achievement. Act from that place. This isn't delusion, it's strategic visualization. Olympic athletes use it. Top entrepreneurs use it. You should use it too. Now let me give you a specific confidence-building protocol you can start today. First, begin each morning with this declaration. I am capable, confident, and in control of my destiny. Say it aloud with conviction. Your subconscious mind listens to your words. When you repeatedly tell yourself you're confident, your mind looks for evidence to support this belief. It notices small successes you previously overlooked. It creates a positive confirmation bias. Second, take one action before noon that scares you slightly. Make that difficult call, start that challenging project, initiate that uncomfortable conversation. Do not end your day without taking this courage-building action. Small acts of courage compound into genuine confidence. Third, end each day by writing down 3 wins, 3 things you did well, or 3 progress steps you took toward your goal, no matter how small. Even on your worst days, you can find 3 positives to acknowledge. This trains your mind to look for success rather than failure. Most people obsess over what went wrong and ignore what went right. This creates a negative confirmation bias that erodes confidence. Reverse the pattern. Focus relentlessly on progress, no matter how incremental. Fourth, read biographies of people who overcame major obstacles to achieve success. Their stories provide perspective and inspiration. They remind you that all successful people face doubt, fear, and failure on their journey. Fifth, practice confident body language. Even when you don't feel confident, stand tall, square your shoulders, make eye contact, speak with appropriate volume. Research shows body position doesn't just reflect our emotional state, it can actually create it. Adopting confident postures sends feedback to your brain that triggers corresponding psychological states. Your physiology influences your psychology. Use this feedback loop to your advantage. Finally, become rejection-proof by deliberately seeking small rejections. Ask for a discount at a store, request an upgrade at a hotel, propose a new idea at work. The goal isn't to succeed with every request. The goal is to become comfortable with hearing no without taking it personally. Let me address something that stops many people: perfectionism. Perfectionism isn't about high standards, it's about fear disguised as excellence. True confidence comes from taking imperfect action, learning from results, and improving incrementally. When I recorded my first audio program, I heard every flaw in my delivery. I wanted to scrap it and start over. My producer said, "It's not perfect, but it's good. Ship it." That imperfect program sold over 500,000 copies. Had I insisted on perfection, it never would have reached anyone. Progress beats perfection every time. The confident person says, "This is good enough to start. I'll improve as I go." The fearful perfectionist never leaves the starting block. Another confidence killer is comparison. When you compare your beginning to someone else's middle, you set yourself up for discouragement. The only productive comparison is between your past self and your present self. Are you better than you were a month ago? A year ago? That's the only metric that matters. When I started speaking professionally, I compared myself to giants in the industry with decades of experience. This nearly paralyzed me. Then I shifted my focus. Was I better than my last speech? That question empowered rather than discouraged me. It kept me focused on personal growth rather than impossible standards. Compare yourself only to your previous performance. Continuous improvement builds unstoppable confidence. Now let's address fear of failure directly. This fear paralyzes more potential than perhaps any other. But here's the truth. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of success. Every significant achievement is preceded by necessary failures that provide essential feedback. I've failed more times than I can count. I've launched products that flopped. I've made investments that tanked. I've given speeches that bombed. Each failure taught me something I couldn't have learned any other way. Each failure moved me closer to eventual success. The confident person doesn't fear failure. They extract its lessons, adjust their approach, and try again with better information. Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times before inventing a working light bulb. When asked about it, he said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This mindset separates the confident achiever from the fearful spectator. Failure is data, not defeat. It tells you what doesn't work so you can discover what does. The next time you fail, and if you're taking meaningful action, you will fail, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I improve my approach? What information did this experience provide? These questions transform failure from something to fear into something to leverage. Another key confidence builder is keeping your promises to yourself. When you say you'll do something and follow through, you build self-trust. When you make commitments you don't keep, you erode self-trust. This applies to small promises as much as large ones. If you tell yourself you'll exercise in the morning, do it. If you commit to making 10 sales calls, make them. Your subconscious mind tracks these promises. Each kept promise strengthens your self-relationship. Each broken promise damages it. Start with small commitments you know you can keep. Build a track record of reliability with yourself. This creates a foundation of self-trust upon which genuine confidence is built. Confidence in relationships follows these same principles. Many people struggle with assertiveness, setting boundaries, or expressing their authentic views. They fear rejection or conflict. But healthy relationships require confident engagement. Start small. Express one honest opinion today in a relationship where you typically hold back. Set one small boundary. Make one request you've been avoiding. Each authentic interaction builds relational confidence. Remember, people respect what you stand for. They question what you fall for. Your relationships improve when you engage from a place of quiet confidence rather than insecure people-pleasing. Sarah attended my seminar in Phoenix. She struggled with confidence in her marriage. She deferred to her husband on every decision, fearing conflict. I asked her to identify one small area where she could express her preference. The weekend plans, she said. That Sunday, she told her husband she wanted to try a new restaurant rather than their usual spot. He was surprised but agreed. This tiny assertion became the first of many. 6 months later, their relationship had transformed. Not because her husband changed, but because she engaged differently. She discovered her voice mattered. Her confidence grew with each authentic interaction. Yours will too. Let me address another confidence killer, dwelling on past mistakes or failures. The confident person learns from the past but lives in the present. They don't drag yesterday's failures into today's opportunities. When I was younger, I made serious financial mistakes that cost me dearly. I could have let those errors define me. Instead, I extracted the lessons, made adjustments, and moved forward with new wisdom. Your past does not equal your future unless you choose to live there. Whatever mistakes you've made, whatever failures you've experienced, they are teachers, not life sentences. Learn, adjust, move forward. Your best days lie ahead, not behind. Another powerful confidence builder is physical vitality. Your physical state affects your mental and emotional states. When you're tired, undernourished, or physically depleted, your confidence suffers. Make non-negotiable commitments to adequate sleep, regular exercise, proper nutrition, and stress management. These aren't luxuries, they're necessities for peak confidence and performance. Even modest improvements yield significant benefits. A 30-minute daily walk, 7 hours of sleep, hydration, protein with each meal. These simple practices create the physical foundation for psychological confidence. When your body feels strong, your mind follows suit. Now I want to address confidence in your financial life. Money worries undermine confidence across all areas. Financial confidence comes from two practices: increasing your earning ability and controlling your spending. To increase earning ability, become more valuable to the marketplace. Develop rare and valuable skills. Solve expensive problems. Deliver results others can't. To control spending, live below your means, no matter your income level. Save at least 10% of everything you earn. Invest wisely for long-term growth. Eliminate consumer debt. As your financial cushion grows, your confidence grows with it. Not because money itself creates confidence, but because financial stability removes a major source of fear and insecurity. The final aspect of confidence building I'll address is service to others. Counterintuitively, focusing on helping others builds your own confidence. When you lift someone else, you lift yourself. When you solve problems for others, you prove your capabilities to yourself. When I was at my lowest point professionally, I volunteered teaching job skills at a local community center. Helping others find employment reminded me of my own value and capabilities. It rebuilt my confidence during a difficult time. Look for opportunities to serve, especially when you're struggling. The confidence you seek often arrives through the side door of service rather than the front door of achievement. Now let me give you the most important principle. Confidence is a choice you make moment by moment, not a state you achieve once and for all. Even the most accomplished individuals experience doubt and fear. The difference is they don't let these emotions dictate their actions. They acknowledge the fear, then act anyway. You will feel fear again tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that. The goal isn't to eliminate fear. The goal is to develop the habit of acting despite it. This is true confidence. Not the absence of fear, but the willingness to walk through it toward what matters most to you. You stand at a crossroads. One path leads to continued hesitation, self-doubt, and unrealized potential. The other leads to progressive confidence, increasing competence, and achieved goals.